You can find it from you don't have it now. My sweet partner.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajakacharya Asatara Sata Sisi Maharaj Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Krishna Prabhupada ki jai.
Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravan Pachani Nirvi Sesa Sanyavari Pasya Chate Sata. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Are we doing a Bhagavatam verse or should I just do person Bhagavatam? Let's do person Bhagavat. Okay. We have book Bhagavat, you have person Bhagavat. Of course, Srila Prabhupada, as I got to see personally over a long time, everything he said had basis in the Shastra. All of you were here last night. I spoke, everyone was here. But you were here, you were hearing. Okay, you were hearing. And when Prabhu mentioned it was Bhadra Purnima, he asked me to say something. And I told the story about Srila Prabhupada saying just this one book. And he went from the one book, he said just one chapter, just one page, just one line, just one word. That's also in the Shastras, not something he made up. I was having a conversation this morning in the car on the way over. Excuse me. Sorry about that. That was not good. And I was saying how sometimes over the years I've done a lot of social media. Did it many, many years ago. Started probably 15 years ago. I went on to Facebook. And is all I did. Every day I would put a picture of Srila Prabhupada on there. And if just like today is, what is today? September 8th. So September 8th. So I would find something in one of Prabhupada's letters that he wrote on September 8th. And I would post it. Well, as I said, I started that 15 years ago. And it was very, very nice for many, many years. But as time went on, I would put something on, Srila Prabhupada said. And then people would start arguing the point. Oh, time, place, and circumstance. This is everyone's defense when they want to, when they don't want to follow Prabhupada. Time, place, and circumstance. Well, he said that 50 years ago. Now things are different. They said that when Prabhupada was here. Things are different. He would say, what's different? Birth, old age, disease, and death. Always there. All this other stuff doesn't mean anything. Big, big skyscrapers, big modern cars, everything on Wi-Fi, staying in a house, everything, smartphones and smart electricity, smart heat, smart cooling, smart meters, watching everything you do. All that's changed. It doesn't mean anything. The real business is birth, old age, disease, and death. And that's what he said. What has changed? We're celebrating this week 60th anniversary of Srila Prabhupada arriving here in the USA to teach us what's important, what's what's changed, what is our business, human form of life. Huh? I was saying, only this life, human life is the only life one can do something to get out of this material world, huh? This world of samsara. It's the whole purpose of human life. When we look in the Shastras, what do we see? We have what's the first? Satya Yuga, you have Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga. What do? Business of human life. One yuga they're doing sacrifice, huh? Another yuga austerities. Kali Yuga, what do we do? Chanting Hare Krishna. But the purpose of everything, every yuga, time immemorial, is to use this human form of life to become God conscious. So what's changed? What we see, Kali Yuga, Maya's kingdom, Kali Yuga, Maya's kingdom. So I would put something on there, and people will say, "Well, my opinion." I was saying that in the car. People say, and then they've said it. They come right on there. People talking to me. Well, in my opinion, I said, we're not interested in your opinion. We're only interested in Prabhupada's opinion. And if your opinion differs from his opinion, it's useless. There's no potency. We're interested in the opinion of the Mahajans. We're interested in the opinion of the disciplic succession, the parampara. And that doesn't change over time. Doesn't matter. Prabhupada came here to America. What did he do? Finally, when he got here, then he went to New York, the Bowery. I was born 1951. I remember as a child, I was in Philadelphia. Live here in Boston, Philadelphia is like 2 hours from New York City, right? Philadelphia. As a child, I heard about the Bowery. The Bowery was the most decadent place in New York City. Prabhupada explained it. He would walk over drunks to get to his room in the Bowery. It was the most mode of ignorance place amongst all the places within New York City. Yeah? Cities we know are what? Mode of passion, also mode of ignorance. You don't see much goodness in the city. You want goodness, you go out into the country, into the forest, mode of goodness. City, mode of passion. But the valley is mode of ignorance. That's where Prabhupada started the Krishna consciousness movement, Chaitanya's movement. Most mercy for the most fallen. That's our condition. But how did he start it? What did he do? Hmm? You all know the history. What did he do? How did he start the Krishna consciousness movement? He sat in the park under a tree, famous park, Tompkins Square Park. He just sat there with his cartels. He didn't have 20-piece orchestra. He sat there with a pair of cartels and chanted. And that little bongo drum came in. That bongo drum is in New Vrindavan, in Prabhupada's palace, right on the temple room, Prabhupada's temple room in the palace. The mridanga, not mridanga even. It's all they had. Played on the bongo drum. You hear them chanting Hare Krishna in that tape. One of my favorite kirtans ever. So many kirtans are there. Now we have kirtans with orchestras. You have in the temple room, you have kirtans, and you have violins and trumpets and this and that. What did Prabhupada say? Just like Lord Chaitanya. He said that. He said, we're not performers. We're just simple devotees, kirtan people. He said, what did Lord Chaitanya do in order to spread Krishna consciousness? Right on Sankirtan. What instruments did he have? Mridanga and kartal. He said, that's what we do. This is our business. You see, as time goes by, how things can change so much. So much. And excuses for everything. But that was, we have to attract people. How are we going to attract them at this time, this age, this time, place, and circumstance? Things are different, not like it was. Back in 1968, 1969, we had one devotee. He was called the Emperor of Kirtan. Anyone know who that is? Madhvisa. Madhvisa. Prabhupada called him the Emperor of Kirtan. That means the best kirtan. In those days, I mentioned a little bit last night, when I moved into the temple, of course, I was in New Vrindavan. But before that, I spent a few weeks in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We did the morning program, we had breakfast, and then you went downtown Pittsburgh, chanted Hare Krishna all day long. That's what we did. 8 hours, 10 hours. Winter, summer, devotees, you see pictures of Vishnu John Swami and band-aids on their fingers. Your fingers would crack, cracking your fingers in the cold weather, banging on the drum all day long. That was the process. Distributing Back to Godhead magazine. 1971, there wasn't any big book distribution. It was Back to Godhead magazine. If you got 25 cents for a magazine, you were very happy. And thousands of people came. Thousands of devotees were made. I was telling Prabhu in the car, he said, you mentioned seeing Prabhupada so many things. He said, but you didn't say how you came to Krishna consciousness. And I said, well, this was 2 minutes from here. So in 2 minutes, I told him how I came. I was raised, like I said, I was raised ninth Italian Catholic boy. My mother was a good Catholic, went to church every day, her whole life, every day, 5 o'clock in the morning, up until 90 years old, pious. So I was raised Catholic schools. We heard about God. What was it? It said right there in the, it was called a catechism. That was our basic Catholic scripture. All your questions and answers. There weren't many answers. But it said we were made in the image and likeness of God, which means a human-like body. Of course, God not human. but he appears that way. He becomes this Krishna, two-armed form. And we're made in the image and likeness of that. But they had no idea who that person is. I remember in the catechism, there was a picture. They had an outline of God. You know what it looked like? It looked like the Lincoln Memorial. It showed this. He was a judge. That was Catholicism. He's always judging you. Heaven, hell, purgatory, mortal sins, venial sins. Oh, that's all you did was worry about. Making sins, going to confession, confessing your sins. There was no joy. It was all about sinning, not sinning, going to hell if you sin, mortal sins. I remember, I remember being in the class, 6, 7 years old, 8 years old, and the nuns in the classroom, they would say, I remember, one nun said, in hell, you burn in hell, eternally burn in hell. And she said, like, the grandfather clock. Yeah, you don't see those things anymore, but the grandfather clock about that high, the pendulum going back and forth. And she said, never, forever, never. In other words, never get out of hell. Forever you burn in that. This is how they tried to make you God conscious by putting that fear into you. That was Catholicism. And God in the chair, he's sitting there, just like a photo of the Lincoln Memorial, but his face was just a big zero because they don't know who he is, what he looked like, this God person. They just know he's condemning everyone to hell. We're letting you into heaven. And the animals, they don't even have a soul. That's how we were raised. Therefore, you can happily eat all your meat, all your burgers, kill the cows, kill everything except dogs, even though they didn't have a soul. You didn't kill dogs, they were pets. But that was Christianity. No philosophy. Anyway, I finally got into college, 18 years old after 12 years of high school, grade school, wearing a suit and tie for 12 years, 12 years. Got into college, 18, 19, and this is 1969, 1970, 1971. Some big hippie movements going on. And I was in school and I just became very unhappy. And I was always easygoing, happy in life. But just like that, everything turned. I couldn't understand why I was even in school. What am I studying for? What's the point in life? What am I doing here? The questions we ask, if you have a little bit of intelligence, you ask, why am I here? What's the purpose of this life? What am I doing? So I started asking these questions just inside my head. I didn't approach anyone as a guru to give me answers to these things. But on my own, and I picked up a Bible, was trying to find answers in there. I couldn't find anything in there. It just confused me more. I started praying what I knew, even on rosary beads, saying the Hail Mary. Yeah? They were just like japa beads, these rosary beads. He would pray to Mary, full of grace, saying, do something. I even went to born again meetings here in the north, not such a popular thing. Down south, popular. Born again Christians. They were born again. And I had seen things, television here and there. They would chant. They weren't chanting Maha Mantra, but they would sing and chant and dance. And sometimes they would speak in tongues, it was called. They would become possessed by the Holy Spirit. At that time, it was called the Holy Ghost, but then they decided ghost wasn't a good term. So they changed it to the Holy Spirit. Paramatma. That was the similarity. We had God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Ghost. We have God the Father, Krishna, God the Son, the Guru, and Paramatma. So similarities were there. So I went to these meetings and I saw people jumping up and down. Many of them were African American, but they had that sentiment. So, but I never felt anything. I didn't want to just know God. I wasn't interested in philosophy, understanding that God exists. I was at the point, if you're there, do something. I want to know you. I want to feel you. I want to be happy. That was my position. Anyway, those things didn't work. And a friend of mine and myself, he was also at LaSalle College. We became good friends in the course of a couple of months. He was a searching. So together we were searching. Then it was April 22nd. Anyone know what April 22nd is in the US? Mainly in the US. Earth Day began 1970. Earth Day. This whole green movement, they talk so busy about the green movement, started in 1970 officially with Earth Day. Still goes on. So this was 1 year later, April 22nd, 1971. And it was a Sunday. And we're in this big, big park in Philadelphia. And it was like a mini, very, very mini kind of Woodstock. There were just local bands playing rock music and stuff. Of course, people are doing intoxication and everything, and they all came together just to enjoy. So my friend and I went, and we're there, and down, it was called Belmont Plateau, one part of the park. There was this group of about a dozen people, and men and young men and women, and all the men had bright, shiny, shaved heads, yellow dhotis, yellow kurtas. The women had yellow saris, all cut from the same polyester cloth you bought at the cloth shop. There were no temples, there were no gift shops you could buy your dhotis and kurtas and saris and things like now. And my friend said, let's go see them. They were down there and they're chanting, banging on the mridanga, banging on the cartels, walking around in circles. He said, let's go see them. And I said, no. He said, they look like they're from Mars. I was looking for the spaceship they all came from. A bright white, I mentioned that bright white tilak they had on. Huh? He kept saying, no, no, let's see them, let's talk to them. So he convinced me. So then I went to one young guy, found out later he had been in the temple maybe 2 months. I didn't know anything. So what are you doing? He said, we're chanting the names of God. That was it. I said, who's God? He said, Krishna. Then in the next half an hour, he told me all about God. He told me all about Krishna. Told me his name, his address, where he lived, his mother's name, his father's. Told me everything about Krishna, me and my friend. Everything he said, we just accepted it. Just like that. There's no doubts. I found what I was looking for. Every morning we chant, huh? Samsara. Yasha Prasada, Bhagava Prasada, Yasha Prasada Nagate Katopi. Krishna sends the spiritual master, and then the spiritual master gives you Krishna. So that happened that day, some 54 years ago. So then every day after school, after our classes, we go to the evening class, Bhagavad Gita class at the Philly Temple. And then we'd stay and have prasadam. I couldn't understand prasadam at all. Gave us sweet rice, and I thought, oh my God, it's so sweet. I never had anything so sweet. And one evening, for evening meal, they had upma. Oh, I didn't like upma at all. This mushy stuff with vegetables in it. So I was not a big fan of prasadam initially. Gradually, of course, became a very big fan, but not right away. So we did that for 3 days. Every evening after school, go right to the temple for class. And after 3 days, Kirtanananda Swami came. Swamis in those days, they were good, very good at going to temples and extracting the people that were coming for their projects. That's what he did. He said, come to New Vrindavan. We just got a new farm, Bahulaban Farm. He said, you come there. He said, okay. 3 days later, Saturday, we left school. We both had scholarships in school. We left school. We left our homes, our families, and we took a train from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh to move to New Vrindavan. Into the temple that day, we shaved our heads. I think 3 days later, they made me the temple commander. And then I was the shipper for spiritual sky incense and oils. I had been working in a shipping department, yeah, before I became a devotee. Oh, as soon as I heard that, all of a sudden I was shipping big boxes of incense all over the East Coast, spiritual sky incense. Just like that. Went from being in college 24 hours a day, just doing devotional service, chanting 16 rounds, following the regulative principles. And you put your saffron on. You're in the temple for one day. You're already a brahmachari. You didn't have to wait years and years wearing that same yellow outfit that they were wearing. In Vrindavan, we have so many bhaktas, all in their yellow dhoti kurta now. Huh? We could have 1,000 of them. We don't even have anywhere to put them. I think we have 100 or so bhaktas like that. 2 months, 100 bhaktas. So we're getting buses, little buses, send them out preaching. This is what we did when we joined. Everyone was a preacher. Everyone would go out. Prabhupada sent a letter to the temples. One person should stay back in the temple, take care of the deities. Everyone else, he said, go out on Sankirtan. This is what we did. And this is how Prabhupada established the Krishna consciousness movement, the ISKCON society. Because there was only one opinion, his. No one else had a different opinion. You couldn't have a different opinion. We followed what he told us to do. Told you, Madhavisa, Emperor of Kirtan, Prabhupada called him. He wrote Prabhupada a letter, 1969 or so. He said, how do we attract people? He said, when we're out on Harinam, how can we get people attracted to the Maha Mantra? Anyone know Prabhupada's response? You need to know all these things.
Prabhupada said we are not there to attract people.
Ah, very good. We're not here to attract people. Who are we trying to attract? Krishna, the all attractive. We're trying to attract him. This is our business. Harinam. This is our business. Chanting in the temple for Krishna's pleasure. Everything we learned. If you want to be happy, water the root. We would hear this every day. Water the root, water the root, water the root. Prabhupada's saying, do the needful. When they use your Krishna consciousness, he said, is common sense. He wrote in one letter, he said, and if you don't have any, find someone that does. Now, common sense, we say, not very common thing. Everyone simply trying to enjoy. Everyone suffering more and more. Every advancement made materially makes another problem. I see that brand new house. So many problems. This high tech, everything, such high tech. Boy, when it crashes, everything gone. How many times have you written right halfway through a letter, boop, gone, start all over again? This is advancement. So what's changed? Death, birth, old age, disease, and death. Still there. Hasn't changed. So Prabhupada came 1965. A year later, people were dancing around Tompkins Square Park. And he cooked. What did he cook for everyone? Rice, chapatis, dal, sabji. He didn't make veggie burgers. Oh, I'm here in the USA. I got to understand what they're doing. He didn't make veggie burgers for them. They're vegetarian. Didn't give them a vegan diet. Rice, chapatis, dal, sabjis. As I mentioned the other night, ghee. Lots of ghee because it's good for the body. Oil is not good for the body. It's good for the outside of the body. Prabhupada said, Tamal Krishna once asked him, Prabhupada, here in Calcutta, he said they cook in mustard oil. He said, didn't you say we use ghee? Prabhupada said, yes. He said, ghee is for the inside of the body. Oil's for the outside. Prabhupada took mustard oil on his body. Didn't eat it. Didn't put it in. Then Tamal said, well, here in Calcutta, they all use mustard oil. Prabhupada said, oh, it's very tasty. So that's there. If you look on the Veda base, you'll find Prabhupada's Back to Godhead magazine. I believe it's 1955. Prabhupada talks about the Jagyas, offering Lord Vishnu, offering him ghee. And he said, oil causes cancer, these refined oils. Here we all think it's very nice taking this oil. Everyone dying of cancer. I don't even know why. All you do is put garbage in your body. These oils, ultra refined, so many things. Everything's bad. Everybody knows it, but nobody does anything. Not that I go there, but I read something somewhere like I told you, Prabhupada asked me for chips, not fries. McDonald's fries have like 35 ingredients in there besides potatoes. Garbage, everything garbage. This country, I don't see anything in my travels like the way people look like in America. Worst country in the world for eating. Huh? They'll show you even a list if you have even the things they make here and they make in other countries. The whole ingredient list is different in the EU, Europe. So many things are banned. All these artificial colors, artificial flavors, cancer cause, everything cancer causing. So what's changed? Huh? Prabhupada showed us proper lifestyle. I was on a morning walk. You get a lot of education when you're with Prabhupada, just like that. 1, 2 minutes, he could tell you so many things. On the morning walk, it was Mexico City, 50 years ago, March, February 1975. He would walk in botanical gardens. See, Prabhupada liked mode of goodness. He would walk on the beaches. He would walk on the sand, or he would walk in parks. Wasn't interested in walking in the cities and seeing skyscrapers. That was not his interest. And he's on this morning walk one morning in the beautiful botanical garden, Mexico City. And he has his cane. He stopped. And he took his cane and he pointed it to a tree. The tree was dead. Prabhupada said, why did the tree die? Whenever Prabhupada asked a question, I learned that very, very early on. I didn't give answers because it's very difficult to be right when you gave an answer. He always would just shake his head. Why did the tree die? And of course, the devotees on the walk, they're very eager to have that association with Srila Prabhupada. Conversation, answers, questions. The first one to do it was Sannyasi GBC. He said, oh, Prabhupada became old. Prabhupada would shake his head. I saw that shake many, many times. So now everyone's thinking, oh, man. So then the next person raised his hand. Prabhupada became diseased. Prabhupada shook his head. I'm right next to him holding a microphone, just like this, holding the microphone. I've been with him now literally 2 years, for 2 years. And I don't know the answer. And I'm thinking, what does he want to hear? See, this is it. You have to learn what is his opinion, not what I'm thinking. Oh, became old, became diseased, this, so many things. Somebody did something, and I'm thinking, what does he want to hear? Not what do I know? I'm thinking, what does he want to hear? And then I said it. What did I say? Prabhupada. Oh, you're very good. The spirit soul is left. Therefore, the tree died. And Prabhupada looked and went, yes. So, see, this is what we need to do. We need to understand how the pure devotee, how the spiritual master, how they think, because it doesn't change. Not everything, every day changing, so many changes. I see that. I remember, as a kid, we didn't have money. We didn't have much money. I never knew I was poor until I became older and I realized we were pretty poor. We were never hungry. We always had everything we needed, decent place to live, food to eat, all that. But we were in working class, poor. I had no father. He died. It was difficult. Lost my train of thought. But we had butter. Then margarine came into town during those time in the 50s. Margarine. Margarine is made. What's it made with? Refined oils. Butter-like. Looks like butter. Tastes not so much like butter. You put a little thing of margarine, you'll never see anything go to eat it. No insects. Nothing will go and try to eat margarine because it's not food. I think they say it's like one molecule away from plastic. That's margarine. Big, big margarine. Because why? Butter is bad for you. Then 10, 20 years later, butter is good for you. Then again, butter is bad. They can't make up their minds. It's not absolute truth. Time, place, and so this is all relative truths. One day this is important, next day this matters, next day this is the truth. Constantly changing. Prabhupada even said the scientist, he said zero, because he said the whole foundation is we're this body. So with that understanding, everything you say, useless. If you're hearing from someone doesn't even understand his spirit, soul, everything they say, waste of time. This was Prabhupada's opinion. Not my opinion. This was his opinion. Those opinions are what matter. I see this with devotees. My opinion. Well, so many people are coming. We have these big, big concerts, all these. Prabhupada said, what is the use of all these people? We want people who are serious, he said, grave people. He canceled the road show back then. Ever hear of a road show? That was I was traveled in the road show in 1971, at the beginning of 1972. It started out very simple. They had Sankirtan, Prasadam distribution, and there would be some plays. Liquid Beauty. You all know Liquid Beauty, right? Liquid Beauty play. Bird in the Cage. We would reenact these. Oh, the guy's polishing the cage, have a big cage, and there would be the young guy, and he's like, feed me, and the person's polishing the cage. So we would do these very simple plays, and it was nice. But then it became different, changed over time. This is the disease, change disease, Prabhupada called it. At that time, he would say, you Westerners, change everything, always wanting to change things, improve things. Now it's with everyone, not just Westerners. Everyone, always wanting to change, make things better. He said if Lord Chaitanya wanted to do something else to spread Krishna consciousness, he would have done it. He said he's God. But what did he do? Mridanga kartals harinam. He said, so we're doing the same thing. He said, better keep it simple. He said, we're not musicians. We're not performers. We're not celebrities. We're simple kirtan people. You always want to know what to do? Just see what Prabhupada did. Any point in his life, from the time he was born until the time he left, he would show you exactly what you should do by following his example. And if you change it, you're on very, say, shaky ground. Huh? He said, people may come with your big performances. He said, but then when they see our businesses, we chant Hare Krishna. He said, they'll go away. He said, we want serious people. Serious people. So this is our business. So more than anything, I learned from Srila Prabhupada, don't change anything. When I was in Los Angeles with them, 1973, that was the world headquarters, New Dwarka. People would come there to learn deity worship from the head pujari, who Prabhupada trained. Head pujari was a woman initially, Shalavati. She died last year or 2 years ago in her 90s. She passed away in New Vrindavan. She was one of the original pujaris. People would come there to be trained up by her. Prabhupada showed her everything, what to do in deity worship. We were there in Los Angeles for a few months. And one day we would get the Raj Bhog offering for Mahaprasadam, Prabhupada's entourage. They would bring one plate Raj Bhog. And on it were these sweets. These sweets had dried fruit, some nuts, puffed rice. You all know Quaker oats, puffed rice here in America. It wasn't proper puffed rice. It was just from a cereal box, puffed rice. Anyway, Prabhupada had his lunch. So on the plate, I always put sandesh on his plate, sandesh, rasgulla, like that. Usually sandesh. 4 sweets, right? You know why 4 sweets? What does 3 sweets? Prabhupada said, 3 sweets you give to your enemy. If anyone hands you 3 sweets, you're gonna, he's your enemy. 4 sweets. So I put 2 sandesh, and next to them I put 2 of these sweets. Sandesh, you could spend hours making proper sandesh. These sweets, 10, 15 minutes. That was Westerner. Everything improve it, make it easier, cheaper, and quicker. That was our mentality. Still the mentality in this country. Everyone follows it all over the world. You go to the stores, they all have their little things connected to the manager. They all talk to this, do this with this person, do everything streamlined. Streamline. That's our business. Streamline everything. So I put them on Prabhupada's plate. Everyday lunch, rice, chapatis, dal, sabjis. 2.5 years I cooked for him. Every day his lunch was rice, chapatis, dal, and whatever vegetables were available, I turned it into a preparation. That was it. It is sweets. And I would put one chapati on the plate, bring it in, puffed up. Has to puff up. So that would be on the plate with a little ghee on the top. And I put the plate down. He sat on the floor, facing the wall every day on a straw mat. That's how he honored Prasadam. If anyone was in the room, he was talking with devotees. I would come in with the plate, put it down, and he would leave his seat, go sit down. He would call them, and he would give them a piece of fruit or something, give them something from his plate, and said, now you can go. That was it. Everyone gone. He would sit by himself, honor Prasadam. I put the plate down and I'd run back into wherever the kitchen happened to be, make another chapati. puffs up, put a little ghee on the top, put it on a little plate, run back into the room, slide it onto his plate, push it down. I'd offer obeisances, run back out of the room, make another chapati, bring it in, put it down, offer obeisances until he went maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 chapatis. Every time I offered obeisances. Every time I went into his room, I offered obeisances. Every time I left his room, I offered obeisances. Some days I may offer obeisances 30, 40, 50 times in one day. Every time he rang the bell, I'd have to go in, call this person, call that person. And I'd offer obeisances again. 1 minute, already 2 obeisances. Go in the room, get that person, and I'd come back in with him, offer obeisances. He never said to me, "You've offered obeisances enough today. You reached your quota." We don't have a quota. You can offer obeisances 1,000 times. You can offer your respects to your spiritual master. Humble yourself before your spiritual master. He never said you did it enough today. Could never do it enough. So after the chapatis, I came back in and he was looking at his plate. He said, "What are these sweets? Did you make them?" I said, and I put them on his plate to see his reaction because I knew, don't change anything. I heard that mantra many, many times. After the Hare Krishna mantra, that was the next mantra. Don't change anything. "Did you make these?" He said. I said, "No problem." He said, "What are they?" I said, "Well, they made them." I said, "It was on the Raj Bhog plate." "Concoction," he said. "Who has made these things? Why have they changed what I've given you?" He said, "I've given you nice Bengali sweets, sandesh, rasgulla, rasmalai, burfi." He said, "Why are they doing this? Why are they changing? You Westerners always want to change things." He said, "Tell them, make the normal sweets." He said, "Make what I've shown you. Don't change anything." So I had to go into the kitchen, tell the Bajari, "No more. Make your milk sweets for the Lord. Not something because it's quicker, easier. Anyone can do it. Could last 4 or 5 days. And put a tray of sweets, just put it in the fridge every day. You don't even make fresh sweets for the deities. All concoction," Prabhupada said. All concoction. Yes, I knew it. No one had to tell me. Just being with Prabhupada, I knew. Just do what he's shown us. This is our business. Don't come up with inventions. It's already a perfect system. This Krishna consciousness movement inaugurated by Lord Chaitanya. God, he showed us what to do. And in our ISKCON society, we have founder Acharya. He showed us everything to do, what not to do. If you want to make nice progress in Krishna consciousness, you just follow the authorities. Prabhupada said, follow the Mahajans. In that same stay over the course of the month, the head Pujari came up to me. She said, "Sruta, you know what I'm doing?" I said, "No." She says, "Well, I bring the deities the Raj Bhog offering, and I put 1 puri on each plate. And then I go back in the kitchen, make another puri. And I go back into the altar and put hot puris on their plate. Then I go back into the kitchen, make more puri. And she's doing like I'm doing for Prabhupada, bringing hot chapatis one at a time." No one said anything to me, and I thought, this is bogus. Prabhupada didn't introduce. If he wanted us to do that, he would have said, "Do it like this." But he didn't. This is what you do, you put it in. So, of course, what do? I went to Prabhupada in the afternoon and I told him. He said, "Head Pujari's doing like this." Again, he shook his head. "Nonsense," he said. "Always concocting." He said, "You can't do that." He said, "They're eating." He said, you put the plate in the room, everything on it, you go back 15, 20 minutes later. He said, always changing everything. The greatest danger for this society is changing the way Prabhupada showed us how to do things because we think we know better. We don't know anything. We're fools. One's supposed to consider themselves a fool, not act foolish. And that's what's going on, huh? Acting foolish. I know better. Time, place, and circumstance. Everyone's got some idea how to improve things. There's no improvement in spiritual life. It's practice. The way we're shown by our founder Acharya, how to do everything. Change. So we have a little time. 9 o'clock. Anyone has any questions, comments about this Krishna consciousness process? Yes, Prabhu.
So, it's like 50 years down the line, we see a lot of differences in the movement, which, like, if we see Black Prabhupada is having, like, we see today, it's completely a different kind of ISKCON that's going on. And it varies from temple to temple, country to
Yes,
country.
different shades.
So, I mean, what do you think is the solution or how to get the things within people? It's different moods, it's different natures. Even like small things, like you say, food proper never the pizza, pasta, and so foods. I like
Yes,
never like in any of the things. But then modern they say we have to attract
yes,
gift
yes. We say that even if one's vegan, you do whatever you like for your health, but the deities, you have to serve them according to the standards. And see, the temple, in my opinion, Prabhupada, the temple is the place where you should come and be able to understand how to practice Krishna consciousness. So the standard in the temple should be very, very high. Deity worship should be first class. I see deity so beautiful. Cleanliness, punctuality. Today, it's right there at 7:45, they open. This is what's important. Not 7:46 and 30 seconds. No, most important thing, deity worship, cleanliness and punctuality. He said, no plastic flowers, no plastic. He said, if they're not flowers, put leaves. He says, the important thing is devotion. Not sometimes there was a period of time, I don't see it so much anymore. They would have all the flashing lights and everything. No, no, just do what you saw. Just do what he gave us. This is what we do. So Prabhupada said, what did he say in the 70, 72, 73, 74? What do we need to do? Boil the milk. Boil the milk, not dilute the milk. Different places, there's a lot of dilution going on. Dilutes the very nature of Krishna consciousness. So then what's what happened? You don't get serious people. I remember growing up, Catholic boy. I was an altar boy, 8 years old. They grabbed me, made me an altar boy, because I guess I looked. All the prayers were in Latin. We had to learn Latin. At that time, you had to go to Mass was mandatory every Sunday. You had to go to the confession every Saturday. By the time 10 years went by, Latin was gone, having to do confessions was gone, not eating meat on Friday was going down, everything watered down to keep the money coming in. They thought this is how we have to keep everybody coming. So that same principle can be here as time goes on. If your concern is money, then you'll do whatever you need so the congregation, they'll be coming. Prabhupada said Krishna is not poor. Money is not an issue. In Vrindavan, we say that. Money comes in. Thing you have to do, keep the standard. You have to have faith in Krishna. In It was in Hyderabad, 1975, 1976. That prasadam was terrible. Prabhupada said it's not even fit for the animals that they were making. He said Krishna is not poor. He said it should be nice offerings to the deities. Nice prasadam should be there. And he sent a letter to all the temples. And in the letter it said, the temple, the kitchen, who's in charge of the kitchen? Srimati Radharani. It's her place, the kitchen. He said, and in the kitchen, he said, you should have, I think it was puris, halava, sabji, maybe one other thing, always available when guests come. Enough for 25 people come to the temple. He said, and when that stock is down, again, you should cook so that whenever anyone comes to the temple, they can be given nice prasada. Didn't say anything about money. He said, Krishna is not poor. You follow the program, everything will come. And he said, when that stock is down, you make another batch for 25 people. And at the end of the day, he said, if there's anything left, he said, you can sell it or you just distribute it amongst the devotees. But he was so upset. He said, what are you making here? He said, no one will eat this. He was so disturbed. Like they say now, right? The devotee I brought me here. And everyone, I've had many people say that because they say, you know, 1971, I remember moving into the temple and there were a few different smells in the temple. One was chances. You could smell burning chances or good chances, but you smelled chances. Sometimes you would choke on them. Another thing you would smell in the temple, of course, was incense. And sometimes you would smell paint because Prabhupada was coming. Then you would smell paint everywhere paint. Everyone's painting everything just before Prabhupada came. But there wasn't much money in the temples. We were getting 25 cents for a BTG. But I remember another thing you smell, ghee. Ghee boiling on the stove, the cooking butter, making it into ghee. So there wasn't much money, but we had ghee. Now, if I go in your kitchen, how much ghee, how much oil you're going to find in there? Huh? Prabhupada said cancer causing oil. We're all getting sick and wonder why are we sick? This was Prabhupada's words back in 1955. So we can do things as he said, or we can make our adjustments, time, place, and circumstance. No, that's not an adjustment, that's a change. Concoction. Prabhupada said these are concoctions. Prabhupada said, told me there's two kinds of prasadam, opulent and sumptuous. Prabhupada had such a mastery of English language. He said opulent means ghee and sugar. And that's for the deities. Opulent, nice fried puris, halava, everything. He said, and sumptuous means very tasty. And he said the prasadam in the temple should be so tasty, no one even thinks about getting something outside. That's how tasty it should be. So that was his standard. That is his standard. So we can follow it or not follow it. Everything he gave us, we can make a choice. But that standard doesn't change 50 years later. It's the standard. They living in the temple, shaved heads. He said every 2 weeks at least. And the face, but shaved every day. Every 2 days he shaved his face. Clean shaven. Now it's almost, you're not even allowed to be a kirtaniya unless you have a beard. That wasn't Prabhupada's standard. You can have a beard, but don't think you're the standard. You're not. This was Prabhupada's standard. Understand? Once his disciples, twice it happened, once in a morning walk, once in his room. Some of his disciples, this was 1975. They had long hair, mustache, beard, and asking Prabhupada all these questions. It was actually very disturbing. And the one had the nerve talking to Srila Prabhupada, and he said, "You were a Grahasta, you had a mustache. Imagine the audacity. I would never talk to Prabhupada in such a way, it's a challenging way." Prabhupada looked at him. He said, "That was before I was initiated. Oh, so it's not okay." No. He said, "If you have long hair, beard, you're not my disciple." I didn't know that. He said, "Well, now you know it. You're keeping long hairs and beard, you're not my disciple." So this is Prabhupada's standards. We can do anything we want. But if you want the blessings from Srila Prabhupada, you don't change things. Follow what he gave us. Some things are adaptable, okay? That you have to know. That requires some intelligence. And of course, you can see by the results. But he didn't want weak followers. He wanted strong followers who could preach, make more devotees. Wanted to boil the milk. People get upset with me when I say things sometimes. I'm very careful as I travel because I know if I say something, I'll never get invited again. And I want to try to educate people about Srila Prabhupada, how wonderful Srila Prabhupada was, what he did, how much he cares for all of us, how much love he has for all of us. But he has standards in his society. So this is our business, especially his disciples who know Prabhupada's standards. In the temple, at least to see that they're followed. It was about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, they had, every year, Memorial Day weekend in Los Angeles, they have Prabhupada Festival, 2, 3 day Prabhupada Festival. So a few years ago, they invited his cooks. So I was there, Harikesh was there, Kasaya was there, Palika was there, not Vishwa. Kashuri was there. They all cooked for Prabhupada. Of course, all of them together, I cooked more for Prabhupada than all of them put together. And at the end of the session, somebody asked what would Prabhupada think about veganism. Every one of them said the same thing. 7 cooks. And one of them was Palika. She said, "I am vegan." She said, for health reasons. She said, she's 70 something years old at the time. She said, "But never." Prabhupada said, "We're not vegetarian. We're not non-vegetarian. We're Krishnatarians. We eat what we offer to Krishna." And he tells us what he likes. He definitely likes, he's Govinda, Gopal. He likes his dairy. Prabhupada had every meal, Prabhupada had dairy. And back in 1973, in Los Angeles, Prabhupada, the milk we're buying, commercial milk, had vitamin D, 2 or 3, I don't know which one of them, which is fish oil. What should we do? Prabhupada said it's Kali Yuga. Everything is contaminated. He said you get the best you can and you offer it to Krishna. Now, 50 years later, hundreds of thousands of devotees. You'll have people, "Oh, nonsense. If you don't get a himsa milk," you got tens of thousands of little children. Prabhupada said they have to have milk, at least 2 cups a day, develop their brain cells. It's very nice if you can get a himsa milk. Many of the sannyasi, gurus, big devotees, they can get their ahimsa milk. But for the rest of us, you have to do the best you can. But he said you have to have milk, and Krishna has to have milk. Sugar, white sugar, another poison. It's a poison, worse than heroin, worse than taking heroin, white sugar. Prabhupada, the white sugar, it's filtered through what? Anyone know? Back in those 50 years ago, it was filtered through cow bones, ash, when it came to the point of ash. What should we do? What did Prabhupada say? It's Kali Yuga, everything is contaminated. Krishna has to have sugar. Chini puri, right? Sugar. Very first thing on the list, sugar. So what do? We do what we think is best. You do what you hear from your founder Acharya, your spiritual master. They're your choices. What do we know? Prabhupada every day he had his hot milk with sugar. Every night. Hot milk, whatever we could get. Now it's easy. You go to these stores, you can get your grass-fed Himsa cow milk. You know, if you can't, just get the best you can. But has to be there. When they opened Krishna Balaram Mandir, one of Prabhupada's instructions, because hundreds of people came, his disciples, he said they all have to have cow's milk. Make sure that everyone gets cow's milk, because in India, not such an easy thing. Buffalo milk and watered down milk. So he said they have to have cow's milk. Muddied Visa, we talked about Muddied Visa. He was GBC of Australia. Australia was famous for ghee, big tins of ghee, commercial ghee, but Australia lots of dairy, yeah, lots of pasture grounds, lots of cows, lots of dairy. And Prabhupada told Muddied Visa, you pay your BBT bill, Australia's BBT bill, by shipping ghee to India so that the devotees could have ghee. This was Prabhupada's way, not our inventions. We think this is better, always better. We think we know better. Prabhupada said everyone should get the ghee. He had him pay his bill by shipping hundreds of kgs of ghee to India, because in India you couldn't trust anything that was there. So this was Prabhupada's style. So you have to choose who do you want to follow. But in order to make choice, you need to know. Who knows? Who knows what Prabhupada wanted? Who knows Prabhupada's instructions? So that becomes everyone's business to understand what Prabhupada wanted, Prabhupada's instructions, what should be done in the temple, what we should do, everything. This is your business. Don't just somebody tells you something, oh, sounds good. We're not interested. We're interested in the guru's instructions. And if someone's not following them, then neither are they guru. Guru's business is follow previous acharya, follow his guru. Okay. Should we stop here? Vanamali Prabhu. Any more questions? Anyone have any questions, comments, corrections? Anything I said they don't agree with you? Correct? Yes.
So in one of the verses, Prabhupada says in first canto that we should use mathematics, science, politics, all the fields to explain Krishna, to glorify Krishna.
Yes.
So I'm just linking that purport to the Kirtan. Would Prabhupada not encourage other instruments if we are using them for glorifying Krishna?
It's there and it's written down. Just look up a database if you want. Prabhupada's views on kirtan. It's not necessary. He said actually it distracts one from hearing the holy name. It's fine. You can go, you might find somewhere he said do a concert and you can charge money and all these things. But is what he saw as time went by was how it just it's just one step and then another step and then another step. And then like with the roadshow, we just shut it down. So that's it. Because he could see there's no end. Once you start changing, there's no end. What should we call it? Pandora's box, you know, Pandora's box, you open, oof, everything. So that's what happens. Once you start, where does it stop? So he said, don't change anything. Just do what I've given you. Just do as I'm doing. He would say that to his leaders all the time, his GBC temple presidents. Do as I'm doing. Do like I'm doing. So he had to know what he was doing. He said, what will they do? They'll be interested in all the excitement and everything. But he said, we're just simple people, we're just Vaishnavas. We just want to chant. Just chant Hare Krishna and hear the chanting. Oh, you'll see what Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, all these elongated, I think at Bhakti Siddhanta maybe, or Bhakti Vinod Thakur, said in the time one's going, Hare. He said you can chant 5 mantras in the time they're chanting one mantra, right? Krishna. It goes on and we hear it. I hear it everywhere, different places I go. It's there. They want to hear their voices. It's not our business. We're not trying to attract the crowd. We're not trying to attract the ladies over on the side. We want to attract this couple. That's who we're trying to attract. So that has to be not easy. This material world, not an easy place. Not an easy place. To become Krishna conscious, Prabhupada said, very difficult. But he said, material world, impossible. So there are your choices. Do something difficult, try to become successful, or just stay here in the material world, life after life. There are alternatives.
True. In those days, the environment, the culture, and the institution was very hard, which you have proposed. But after he left now, things have changed now. Now, how how did you in your life how do you find yourself to maintain standing out of that practice? How to find yourself? You find yourself that we can sustain ourselves in this practice because it's a challenge, you know. In those days, now now it's not.
Yeah.
Now,
Mhm.
so just how do you find this from your own practice, from your body, others, how we can sustain ourselves?
That's a good question. I mean, myself, I had a business for 20 years outside Philadelphia from the time I was 84, I was 33 until 50 years old. I had a business I was doing. So that occupied a lot of my time and everything. You know, for me, I've been very fortunate to have heard directly from Srila Prabhupada so much. And I also spent many years, like I said, I would do on Facebook. I would read Prabhupada's letters, his conversations, his books to see what it is that he wanted, you know. And it's okay. I remember in the early 1980-ish, I lived in New Dwarka. This is when we had 11 acharyas besides Srila Prabhupada there. They had a meeting there once. They literally had them make 11 Vyasasans and they filled up the temple because all these different acharyas were having this meeting because they were struggling. And all, and Their godbrothers were expected to offer every one of them a flower. Imagine, every one of them. Myself, I didn't think that was a good idea. I would be outside. Class would go on. Sometimes I didn't go to class, and devotees would say different. They didn't go because of this reason, that reason, and I would just say, "Well, I'm just in Maya." So at least 12-step programs like Alcoholics Anonymous, narcotics, called 12-step program. What's the very first step? Understanding you have a problem. Understanding you're an alcoholic or whatever. The first thing, if you think you don't have a problem, how are you going to solve it? As I said to some people very close to me, if you think you know everything, you can't learn anything. So we always have to be open to hear something. So for me, I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice. Um, Even as different people came and went around the society, different Gaudiya Math people and things, I could never hear from anyone. I could never. That's all I needed is for someone to say, "Oh, look, Srutakirti's over there. He's attending this class from this person, that person." So I never did it. I just, all we have, we don't have anything. What good qualities do you have? I don't have any. The only thing I have is my loyalty to Srila Prabhupada, my chastity to Srila Prabhupada. That's the one thing. Because what? He's loyal to his disciples, but you can turn away. But he never turned away. Ever well wisher. This is Vaishnava. This is devotee. Your ever well wisher. He was our ever well wisher. But we could walk away from that. Think, oh, I found this. This is better. This is better. Tired of doing this. I like the way this person's doing it. So I had no choice. And one of the reasons is when I was with Prabhupada, so he was fanatic. I couldn't go anywhere. I told you, 24 hours a day, I had to be right there, right outside his door, waiting for him to ring the bell. I went to Mangalarti, I got chastised. It wasn't my service. We were in Vrindavan, me and Kuladri. Some of you may know Kuladri, in Vrindavan, Kuladri. We got Brahmin initiation together, 1972. Just the two of us in Prabhupada's room. There was no big ceremony. There was no fire jug. He just gave us both Brahmin. I was just there in New Vrindavan. He was there a month ago, 2 months ago, Kanadri. And we're talking about old times, and he remembers very vividly. I do a little bit. When Prabhupada was there in 74, he became ill. Then as he got better, I became ill. Kaladri was taking care of Prabhupada. Then I got better. And one day Prabhupada called me in. He said, get Kaladri. And we went into his room. And he said, two Brahmin brothers. We didn't even know, just last month we figured out. He understood. He initiated both of us together, gave us Brahmin initiation. And he said, two Brahmin brothers. He said, today you go and swim in the Jamuna. He gave us permission to go swim in the Jamuna. It's the only time I ever left the residence because he told us to do it. And we went there, we spent the whole day there, covered ourselves in mud, clay, everything, because Prabhupada said, go ahead. Otherwise, he didn't want us to go anywhere. One day he called me into his room. He asked for his secretary in Vrindavan. I said, look, Prabhupada's not here. Where is he? Anyway, the afternoon came. The secretary was back. He said, call him. He came into the room. Krishna Balaram Mandir, Prabhupada's quarters. He came into the room. Prabhupada said, where were you? He said, oh, I was visiting temples of the Goswamis. He said, Tirthas here in Vrindavan. Prabhupada looked at him. He said, I placed all the tirthas in the courtyard of Krishna Balaram Mandir. He said, don't go anywhere. This is how I was trained. People say here, he's Srutakirti, he's fanatic. Yeah, I am. But I learned from my fanatic spiritual master. Don't go anywhere, just follow him. That's what I learned. In Calcutta one day, temple in Calcutta, Albert Road. And if you've been there, okay. Same temples there as was there when Prabhupada was here in 1972. So Prabhupada's room, there was a veranda, like this veranda, outside veranda. So the door to the temple rooms were there, many doors, and over on the side was a door to Prabhupada's room. So sometimes he would come out, Mangalarti, he would come out of his room and he would just stand in the back behind all the devotees and see the deities and see his disciples. So that one day he's there, and the next day he goes up to one of his disciples, his male disciples, and he asks him, he said, where were you yesterday for Mangalartik? Prabhupada saw he wasn't there for Mangalartik. The devotee said, oh, Prabhupada, I went to your home. Or in there where you have the deities that you worshipped as a boy. Prabhupada looked at him. He said, this is your home. This is where you be. Not independently. I can go here. Prabhupada did this, then Prabhupada did this. Prabhupada had a mustache. No. He said, this is your home. He said, you stay here. That's what I learned from. I can tell you so many stories. Don't go anywhere. Don't change anything. In our situation now, you're managed. You have to do the best you can with everybody you're dealing with. But you need to know the principles that Prabhupada has given us and ourselves follow them, set the proper example for everyone. That's our business, not to become nonsense rascal, Prabhupada would say. We don't need nonsense rascals spoiling everything. One letter he said about the deities. He said, the greatest danger to our society is making changes in the deity worship. Greatest danger to the society. Come up with your own. I've been in temples where they buy Carmi jam. It's from a good factory. Yeah. French stuff from the French. But they were using Carmi jam, offering it to the deities. Prabhupada wouldn't let anything. Milk you could buy. Yogurt, he said, make it yourself. Sour cream, if you can make it yourself. Ice cream, if you can make it yourself. That was his standard. So everywhere, we need to know Prabhupada's standards. Follow it. And if you don't know it, then find out what it is. This is our business. And this is one of the reasons, other than just staying in Vrindavan, traveling around. Like they say, some people may not invite me back. They don't like, oh, he's too fanatical. Krishna consciousness is serious business. We can make up our own thing. And if you can't follow, fine. But don't turn it into your own philosophy. Huh? Don't change the philosophy. Just say, I'm not able to do it now. This is how much I can do. That's okay. That's all right. No one will say anything. If you need to be vegan, be vegan. But don't change the society. That's bogus. That's dangerous. That's not pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. All right. Any more? One more question?
So these sweets which we get outside, the sweets, now in the sweets
Sweets.
we get outside, people come and they buy and they bring it.
That in Vrindavan, they bring things all the time. You just offer it a deity. That's all. Yeah. Yeah. They do that all the we see things. Of course, in Vrindavan, they buy from our shops. We sell prasadam sweets and boga sweets. So they'll buy the boga sweets and then they offer that to the deity. But You shouldn't offer them things that haven't been prepared properly. That you have to also be careful. But that's something you can do. You just Vrindavan all day long. People will bring your neck beads. They bring japa beads. You just offer it to the lotus feet. They just want everything blessed by Radha Krishna, Krishna Balaram. That stuff you can do. But what you prepare in the temple, put on the plate, that has to be proper. Cooked by Brahmins, not, well, we don't have any Brahmins. No, then have, these things are there.
So that's the standard. We should not any uninitiated person if he cooks it like that. So we should not put it
If you know, if you know what they're doing, if they're proper standards, we would always have, especially festival days, we would say if you want to bring a preparation, but in your home, kitchen should be proper, should be clean. Brahmin should be the one, doing the cooking part and everything. That's okay. That's all right. But if you're unsure, you can just do it, whatever to satisfy the people, but not spoil your own method of how you're worshiping the deity. You can be tactful. Once in India, Prabhupada was invited to life member's house, and 20 devotees came, and they all sat down. And then one of them next to Prabhupada said, "Oh, Prabhupada, there's onions." Prabhupada said, "Just take." And then after they were all gone, he said, "You should have told them beforehand what our standards are." He said, "But not to make an embarrassment there. It's your fault you all did it because you didn't say, well, yeah, we're coming, Prabhupada's coming, but we don't take onions, we don't take garlic, we don't do this. You have to tell them, see that they do it. That's what we do when I travel. You saw I gave you no questions with us, onions and garlic, but for my own well-being, and I always say ghee. If anything's going to be fried in something or made a chance, it should be in ghee. Because other stuff's not good for you. Especially that now it's just worse and worse. Simple things, artificial stuff, artificial sweetener. Now again, they say all cancer causing. Oh, big surprise. Chemicals. Your body's not interested in all these chemicals, artificial chemicals we put in our bodies. But no, it's good to encourage others to take part in our festivals. I used to make, when I lived in Philadelphia back in the 90s, Vyas Puja Day and all, I would make sandesh at home, bring it to the temple for the festival. So that's okay. You can do those things. But you want the proper Brahminical standard. That's all. Especially with Radha Krishna. Prabhupada said, you don't want to make offenses to Radha Krishna. Gurnatai, he said, even you make some offense, they're very forgiving. By accidentally, you make some offense. But Radha Krishna, even by accident, if you make an offense, it's an offense to the deities. So Radha Krishna worship is most serious to keep the standard proper. Okay. All right. We'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Everybody schedule have class tomorrow morning, really? No, tomorrow morning again, and then let's say both morning and evening we have to go and have class. The idea to have his grace should be to Prabhu, which are preparing our teachers for this wonderful and amazing festival, which is upcoming around the corner. We have so many wonderful Vaishnavas. That we can actually draw inspiration and do as what Sri Prabhupada has done, talk what Sri Prabhupada has done,
Hare
understand from these personalities, from these great souls who have seen Sri Prabhupada, served Sri Prabhupada, been with Sri Prabhupada, so that we can get that.
his fanatical perspective following Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Hare.
A lot of the lessons that we took from after 20 years, how many years after from Boston?
50 years I was here in 1975. So it's like another anniversary, yes, 50 years ago. And what was really amazing is coming here is 50 years ago, I was here with Ambarish. And somehow or other, not under the best conditions, but Ambarish was here 50 years later, and I got to spend time with him the last few days. So I was very happy about that. So even by Krishna's arrangement, he brought us both together here 50 years later to this place. Yeah. So.
I see Radha Gopin's all
Yes.
orchestrating all these things.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he had to be here and you are also here.
Very, very beautiful outfits. Who made these outfits? Were they from India?
Now, yeah, follow the boys.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
All right. Hare Krishna.
Yes, all the Prashad. Okay. Yes.